Abby and Brittany, inseparable twins who share one body, have faced the unimaginable, a dangerous surgery that tore them apart forever. The procedure wasn't just risky, it was catastrophic with devastating consequences no one could fully prepare for. Let us uncover the shocking aftermath where their lives were forever changed in ways no one could have predicted. The impossible choice. Abby and Brittany. You've probably heard their story before. These two remarkable conjoined twins have shared not only a single body, but also a lifetime of resilience, curiosity, and adaptability. Their unique situation has intrigued the world, sparking endless conversations about what it means to live in harmony with someone else, literally sharing the same body. But imagine just for a moment the scenario where they undergo a surgical separation, a risky, life-altering, and let's face it, terrifyingly uncertain procedure. Does it make sense? Should it even be considered? But what if there's a twist that changes everything? Are we ready for the answer? First off, separating conjoined twins isn't like flipping a light switch. It's not simple, not even close. We're talking about one of the most complicated surgeries on the planet. It's a gamble where the stakes couldn't be higher. The anatomy of conjoined twins can vary wildly, and in Abby and Brittany's case, they share a single body with two distinct spinal cords and their own motor control over different limbs. That means every movement, every breath, every step they take is a synchronized dance requiring unparalleled teamwork. Trying to separate them? It's not just hard, it's borderline impossible without leaving behind devastating consequences. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Surgery like this would take years of planning. We're talking endless scans, simulations, consultations with top medical experts, and even then, the risks are jaw-dropping. Catastrophic blood loss, infections, organ failure, and neurological damage are just the beginning. The truth is, even with all the brilliance modern medicine has to offer, there's no guarantee they'd both survive the operating table. And even if they did, what kind of life would they wake up to? One filled with chronic pain, potential disabilities, and the psychological shock of losing the only way of life they've ever known. The ethics of this scenario are equally complicated. Abby and Brittany aren't just two people, they're a team. Their entire existence has been built around shared experiences, decisions, and mutual reliance. Who has the right to decide that should change? Certainly not the medical world, the media, or society's obsession with what's normal. As adults, they've made it crystal clear they're content with their lives. Forcing a decision on them, especially one with such monumental risks, isn't just unethical. It's cruel. But let's take a moment to imagine what separation would really mean for them. Beyond the physical risks, the psychological toll would be immense. These two have grown up not just side by side, but as one. Their sense of identity is deeply intertwined with their shared existence. Splitting them apart would be like ripping away half of their soul. The trauma of that loss could be insurmountable. It's not just about physical scars, it's about the emotional ones that might never heal. Why would anyone push for this then? The pressure to conform to society's standards of individuality is relentless. But Abby and Brittany's lives challenge that narrow-minded view. They've proven time and again that individuality doesn't have to fit into a neat little box. Their story is a powerful reminder that happiness, fulfillment, and even greatness can come in forms that defy convention. Society's obsession with fixing what isn't broken says more about us than it does about them. Medical advancements might someday make separation safer. Technology is evolving rapidly, and procedures once deemed impossible are becoming viable. But just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. The line between innovation and ethics isn't just blurry, it's dangerous to cross without careful thought. Medicine should be about healing, not about forcing people to fit a mold they never asked for. Abby and Brittany have already achieved so much. They've earned degrees, built careers, and lived lives full of joy and purpose. Their shared body hasn't held them back, it's propelled them forward. They're a living testament to resilience, adaptability, and the power of human connection. Separating them, it would strip away the very essence of what makes their story so extraordinary. At the heart of this debate lies a deeply human question. The decision to pursue such a procedure shouldn't rest in the hands of doctors, spectators, or anyone else. It's Abby and Brittany's choice, and theirs alone. If their decision is to embrace the life they've built together, that choice deserves respect. Beyond the personal, their story carries a broader lesson. It's a challenge to the world to rethink our understanding of individuality and normalcy. Society often celebrates conformity while sidelining those who deviate from its rigid standards. But Abby and Brittany's lives highlight the beauty of diversity. Their bond, their strength, and their ability to thrive together are an inspiration. Their existence, just as it is, defies expectations and broadens horizons. Even if medical science continues to advance, the ethical dilemma remains. Is separation an improvement or a loss? It's easy to romanticize breakthroughs in medicine, but each advance carries a responsibility. Balancing what is possible with what is humane is a delicate task. In Abby and Brittany's case, their happiness and fulfillment as conjoined twins challenge the assumption that separation would be inherently better. Their achievements stand as proof that living differently doesn't mean living less. They've built a life on their terms, navigating challenges and breaking barriers with grace and determination. Their shared journey shows us that limitations are often just perceptions, and collaboration can lead to extraordinary outcomes. The world doesn't need more stories of medical marvels reshaping people to fit a standard. It needs more stories like theirs, reminding us of the value of embracing uniqueness. In considering separation, it's important to ask what would be gained and what would be lost. For Abby and Brittany, the cost of losing their unity far outweighs any potential benefits. Their lives are a testament to the power of adaptation, resilience, and love. Intervening in such a profound way risks destroying the essence of who they are. How can two people live as one and still be themselves? Let's find out. The fight to stay whole. Life for the twins is all about teamwork, and that extends to their health. They control different halves of their body, meaning that each twin only feels sensations on her side. If Abby hurts her arm, she feels the pain, but they both have to work together to make sure it heals. It's this kind of constant coordination that's always defined their relationship. And when it comes to medical care, it's even more complicated. They need specialists from multiple fields working together to make sure they both stay healthy. They have separate hearts, but their circulatory systems are connected in a way that means an issue for one could affect the other. It's a balancing act that requires constant vigilance, and it's exhausting just to think about. This latest health crisis is different. It's not just about the physical challenges, there's a mental and emotional toll too. Imagine never having a moment to yourself. Imagine always having someone right there, even when you just need space. The twins have found ways to give each other room, even though physical space is impossible. They're two very different people, and they've spent their lives trying to find that balance. It's not easy, and this latest challenge is putting even more pressure on that fragile balance.
With Miss Brittany and I, what does that mean about how many eyes we have?
Before we go any further, let's face it. The truth is far more complicated than anyone could have anticipated, and the hardest part is yet to come. When it comes to dating, things get even more complicated. Abby got married, and that brought a whole new set of challenges. How does that work for the other twin? It's a question that most of us can't even begin to understand, and they have managed to keep the details of their personal lives private. Impressive, considering how many people are fascinated by them. Their relationship status might make for interesting gossip, but it's not something they talk about much. They've got enough to deal with just trying to live a life that's already more complicated than most. Their careers are another area where things get tough. Teaching is a demanding job, even for people who don't have to share a body with their coworker. They have to be perfectly in sync, not just physically, but also mentally to manage a classroom. They're constantly communicating, making sure they're on the same page, and their students love them for it. But behind the scenes, it's a struggle. Standing all day, managing kids, keeping up with the physical demands, it's exhausting. And they still have to fight to be recognized as two individuals, even when it comes to getting paid. Imagine having 2 degrees, 2 certifications, and still getting one salary because you share a body. It's just another hurdle they have to overcome. The emotional and psychological challenges of their lives are intense. Most people can go for a walk, slam a door, or just take a break when they need some space. But for them, that's not an option. They're always there, always together, and as they get older, that lack of privacy is only going to get harder. They've adapted in a lot of ways, but some things are just impossible to overcome. They're going to need constant mental health support to help them cope with the challenges of living their lives. It's not just about surviving, it's about finding ways to thrive, and that's going to be tough. There's no easy way to talk about Abby and Brittany's life expectancy. Conjoined twins don't have an average lifespan. Their situation is just too unique. And with their shared organs, the stress on their bodies is something that's always there. The fact that they've made it this far is a testament to their resilience and the care they've received, but the future is uncertain. They're human, and their bodies can only take so much.
Ready? I'm go, 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 go.
As this latest health scare unfolds, it's a reminder that nothing in their lives is guaranteed. They've always faced challenges, but this one is different. It's about survival, and that's not something anyone can take lightly. Abby and Brittany have overcome so much, but what lies ahead will push them harder than ever before. Standing strong through the storm. Abby and Brittany are once again showing the world what true strength looks like. They're facing an uncertain future, but they're doing it together, just as they always have. Their story is far from over, and whatever comes next, they're going to face it with the same grace and determination that they've shown throughout their lives. Their path is a powerful reminder of what the human spirit can endure. It's a reminder that no matter what challenges we face, we have the ability to overcome them. And Abby and Brittany have shown us all that even when the odds are stacked against you, it's still possible to live a life that's full of love, connection, and hope. The ultimate test is now. Their bodies are changing, aging, and frankly, not cooperating the way they used to. It's hard enough for most of us to deal with one body getting older. Now imagine having to coordinate every movement with someone else when your body just doesn't work like it used to. The patience they're going to need is off the charts, and it's not fair. But fairness has never been a part of Abby and Brittany's story. It's always been about resilience, and now, more than ever, they're going to need every ounce of it. Their medical care is like trying to fix a car with two steering wheels. Every adjustment affects both drivers. And it's not just a quick trip to the doctor. It's specialists, custom treatments, teams of doctors trying to figure out what works.
Above the waist, they seem to function independently, and yet they can clap, even though one controls one arm and the other controls the other.
The energy they've got to put into just staying healthy is mind-boggling. And then there's their career. Teaching is no joke, especially when you're trying to manage a classroom and keep everything coordinated. And for Abby and Brittany, it's even more draining. Standing all day, trying to keep up with energetic kids, dealing with the demands of teaching, it's exhausting. And let's not even talk about the pay. You'd think two brains would mean two salaries, but bureaucracy doesn't work like that. It's more like, you share a body, so here's one paycheck. They're always having to prove themselves, even when they've already done more than most of us could ever imagine. And emotionally, the strain is real. Imagine being with someone every second of every day, never having a break, never having privacy. It's cute in theory, but the reality is so much tougher. And as they get older, that's only going to get more challenging. They're not invincible. They're human, and their health, both physical and mental, needs attention. They're going to need support, and a lot of it. It's not about surviving anymore. It's about finding ways to truly live. And that's the hardest part of all. Abby and Brittany have been defying the odds since day one, but now, as their bodies age, they're facing a new kind of challenge. How do you keep going when everything is pushing back against you? The path isn't over. They're still here, still fighting, still showing the world what real strength looks like. And whatever happens next, we know one thing for sure. Abby and Brittany aren't going down without a fight.
Don't put that stuff on mine, Cody. I don't want that on there. Okay.
They've got each other, and as long as that's true, they're not giving up. Join us as we continue to follow their story. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that Abby and Brittany's story is far from finished. What's next for these incredible women? Will their bond be enough to face the challenges ahead? Stories of other conjoined twins show both heartbreak and hope, reminding us how strong people can truly be. Bonds that defined history. Conjoined twins have always drawn attention from people around the world. It's not just about how their bodies are physically linked, but also about their extraordinary lives that fascinate everyone. While many people think about Abby and Brittany Hensel when conjoined twins are mentioned, they are far from the only ones who have made an impact in history. There have been other pairs whose lives have been just as remarkable, if not more. Let's start with Chang and Ing Bunker. They were born way back in 1811 in a place called Siam, which is now known as Thailand. These two are probably the most famous conjoined twins of all time. They were connected at the chest by a piece of cartilage, and a British merchant found them, eventually bringing them to the United States in 1829. They were pretty much shown off like an exhibit, with people paying to see them move and live together in sync. But their story goes beyond being just a show. They moved to North Carolina in 1839 and became citizens. Believe it or not, they even married, both of them to sisters named Adelaide and Sarah Yates. Together, they had a staggering 21 children. Their lives were like a big middle finger to society's expectations back then, and because of them, the term Siamese twins was coined. These guys didn't just live, they thrived. Next, there's Lori and George Chappelle. Born in 1961 in Pennsylvania, these twins were joined at the head, a condition called craniopagus. Even though they shared some parts of their brains, they managed to live very different lives. George became a country music artist using the stage name Reba Chappell, while Lori worked a regular job in hospital laundry. But their story took an even more unexpected turn in 2007 when George transitioned to male, making them the first conjoined twins to identify as different genders. Imagine the complexities of identity they had to navigate. One body, two people, with their own dreams and even gender identities. They showed the world that identity is much deeper than just appearances. Then there were Ronnie and Donnie Gaillon, born in 1951 in Ohio. These two were connected at the abdomen and held the record for being the longest-living conjoined twins, passing away in 2020 at the age of 68. They started their lives in sideshows where they were part of traveling attractions. But later they retired to their hometown to live a quieter life. Despite the challenges they faced, they lived for nearly 70 years, giving people a glimpse into what resilience truly looks like when you're living such a unique life.
'Cause our legs quit moving, we was weak as a kitten.
Daisy and Violet Hilton were another famous pair, born in 1908 in England. They were joined at the pelvis, a type called pygopagus. Their story is heartbreaking in many ways. Their mother sold them to a woman who trained them to become performers. They ended up becoming vaudeville stars in the United States, playing instruments and entertaining large crowds. Their musical talents made them famous, but their lives were far from glamorous behind the scenes. They faced betrayal, control, and a lot of hardship. The story of Daisy and Violet is one of triumph and tragedy all mixed together as they struggled to have control over their own lives while living under a spotlight they never chose. Masha and Dasha Krivoshlyappova, born in 1950 in the Soviet Union, were joined in a way that made them share three legs. From the beginning, their lives were rough. They were taken from their mother and studied by doctors. Their childhood was spent in institutions where they were treated more like subjects than children. Despite all this, they developed unique personalities and had their own interests. Their story highlights how different cultures and political systems can affect the treatment of conjoined twins. They weren't just surviving, they were trying to carve out their own individuality in a system that didn't see them as fully human. Another pair of conjoined twins that fascinated many people were Ganga and Jamuna Mondal. They were born in India around 1970 and were joined at the pelvis too. Because of how they looked, they became known as the Spider Sisters. They worked in traveling shows for most of their lives, which might sound similar to other stories of conjoined twins. But in recent years, their story took a happier turn. They found love and companionship, showing that even in a world that often sees them as different, they could find someone who loves them for who they are. Their story challenges the idea that conjoined twins can't live full and happy lives. When you hear these stories, you realize that the experiences of conjoined twins are as varied as any other group of people. Some lived their lives in the public eye, others fought for independence, and some simply wanted to live quiet lives away from the spotlight. But they all shared something beyond their physical connection, a resilience that many of us could never understand. Their lives force us to rethink our ideas of identity, connection, and what it means to be normal. Is separating Abby and Brittany a medical necessity, or could it have been avoided entirely? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.